Welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast. I'm Ani Anderson.
And I'm Brian Trzaskos. Join us as we explore the science
and art of trauma-sensitive somatic practices and tools.
Strengthen your practice as a coach, therapist, or holistic professional.
Master the art of motivating even the most challenging clients when you understand how to tap into and unlock your client's complete holistic intelligence.
If you want to learn the most cutting-edge, research-supported skills for personal and professional mastery, you've come to the right place. Let's get this conversation started.
Hey, and welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast. It's our birthday.
It's our birthday.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Brian.
birthday to us. Yay, Ani. Can you believe it's been a year of podcasts?
I can believe it's been a year. Yeah. It's wow, whole year. We did it for a whole year. That is such a big deal.
Big deal.
Happy birthday.
I've got my party shirt on.
I see. I have my party shirt on too.
Yeah. I'm partying. I look a little more festive than you do.
You do.
I gotta tell you.
But I like this shirt.
You're good, yeah.
Thank you.
Nice.
I went with a classy party.
Typical.
What are we talking about today?
Well, I thought it would be fun since it's our 1 year birthday.
Yeah.
To look back and do kind of like our favorite episodes over the past year.
I like that.
Let's just have a chat about our favorite episodes. So I had Adnan, everybody say thank you to Adnan. He's the guy behind the scenes.
We would not have this podcast without Adnan.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Big shout out to Adnan. And so I reached out.
He's done so much.
Amazing. He pulled some stats for us.
Fantastic.
And I asked him to pull out what were the top 3 downloaded episodes over the last year.
Ooh, I can't wait to find out.
So some of these episodes, they might be more downloaded because they've been out longer than others. So that could be too, right? So I don't know what kind of value judgment to place on like why some were downloaded more than others. But anyway,
It's fun to talk about.
I thought it might be fun to review the top 3 most downloaded episodes.
Okay.
But then also for each of us to toss 1 or 2 of our favorite episodes in. That can't be the downloaded ones.
Oh, okay. Well, I have some in mind. So let's see what the downloaded ones are.
All right. So the number 3, we'll go count backwards.
So exciting.
The number 3 most downloaded episode was on using somatic practices, tools, and skills to enhance vagus nerve function.
Vagus nerve.
Vagus nerve,
The
baby.
vagus nerve used to nobody knew the vagus nerve. And now the vagus nerve is the popular guy at the party.
Cool kid on the block.
Cool kid on the block. We do have prospective students ask us all the time, you going to talk about the vagus nerve in class?
Yeah.
Yep. Everybody's talking about the vagus
Everybody's talking
nerve.
about the vagus nerve. So
that one doesn't actually surprise me.
Doesn't surprise you? So just in really quick, just review.
Okay.
You might want to go back and check out that episode because a lot of people apparently liked it.
And somatic practices too, I think is really cool because it's one thing to just nerd out about the vagus nerve, but it's another thing to talk about somatic practices in regards to the vagus nerve.
Yeah, and we actually talked about somatic practices, somatic tools, and somatic skills with the vagus nerve.
Look at us go.
So a little overview of what that episode looked like. Actually, when I got this list, I went back and I listened to these episodes. I re-listened to them. And you know what? They're really good. So sometimes I don't make it a habit of listening to going back to the podcast again and listen to them a lot. But I should, because there's a lot of good information in there. I was like, hey, that sounds really smart.
Hilarious.
Sort of thing.
Happy birthday to us. We don't stink.
Yeah, exactly. I thought it was pretty good. So we talked about 3 kind of operations of the vagus nerve in that episode. We talked about vagus nerve toning, like why and how it's important to help the vagus nerve become stronger. Like tone means to become stronger. And how do you do that with somatic practices?
Get it buff.
Yeah, that's right. Get it buff. Now, we also talked about heart rate variability.
Oh, which is a very important topic too.
Very important topic, right?
Yeah.
So we went kind of, fairly robust conversation for the amount of time that we were on the podcast on heart rate variability and the importance of using somatic tools in order to help enhance heart rate variability and what that's all about.
That's another really big time thing people are talking about, heart rate variability.
And that's vagus nerve, right? Vagus nerve has everything to do with heart rate variability because that's actually one of the ways you measure the health of the vagus nerve.
Does this make us cool that we're talking about cool topics people think are cool?
I don't know. We'll have to ask you to give comments.
Comment below.
Don't ask our kids first, because then we will not be cool. All right. And then the other thing we talked about in that episode was resilience. Kind of like nervous system regulation resilience. And then brain areas that specifically have to do with being a resilient human and its coordination with the vagus nerve.
There were a lot of cool things on that episode.
A lot of great things in that episode.
Well, no wonder it was so highly downloaded.
Yeah. So if you haven't listened to that episode, and even if you have listened to it, go back and listen to it again.
Yeah.
That was the number 3 most downloaded episode over the last year.
Boy, that was a good one. I can't believe that was just one.
All right. So
what's number 2?
You ready for number 2?
I am. I'm ready.
Number 2 was the first episode in a 4-part series that we did called How to Make Pivotal Life Decisions.
That episode, so
it was the first episode, and the episode was Why People Play Small or Not at All.
Oh, that's a great title. I really like that title. I would download that title.
Yeah.
I was going to mention that for my favorite episodes, that series.
Yes.
We had so many people tell us that series was helpful. And I actually have people who are students and clients of ours already who said they downloaded those episodes and they've re-listened to them and gotten super value from them.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are great episodes. So it's interesting that just the first one was in the top 3.
Well, especially since it's a series of 4, like what did people not care about?
Exactly. They
got so much information in that first one.
Well, that first episode is really cool.
Yeah.
Right. So a couple of bullet points about that episode. And so again, if you haven't listened to it, you might want to go listen to that one and then listen to all 4 of them. Binge listen to all 4 of those. And if you have listened to it, go back and listen to it again. Because some of the high points were you haven't made a decision. You haven't not made a decision until you're actually wearing the blue shirt.
The blue shirt.
You've got the blue shirt.
Well, you've the blue shirt.
I have a blue shirt on underneath my party shirt.
Yeah, I made a decision to wear the blue shirt.
Wear the blue shirt, right?
You
haven't made the decision until you're actually wearing it.
So I've literally had people send me text messages and stuff saying I chose to wear the blue shirt, but because we were talking about the blue shirt, but I know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Yep. Yeah. So if you don't know what that means, go back and listen to that episode.
Yeah.
We also had a little formula in that episode for how successful people make decisions. Right. So if you don't know, go back and listen to that episode because it's in that episode. And then at the end of that episode, I posed a question. And when I listened to it, I thought, that's a really good question when I re-listened to it. And so the question is, what if I made decisions based on who I wanted to become rather than who I was supposed to be?
That is a great question, Brian. That is a really great question.
So if you want to learn more about what led us up to that question in that episode, go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
Number 1, first episode, listen to all of them about how to make pivotal life decisions.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Cool. Okay.
Top download.
Yeah. What's
you ready?
Download?
All right, here it is. You ready for it? You ready for it? You ready for it? It was our episode on how to shift from emotional dysregulation into regulation.
You know, that makes me so happy that one is the most downloaded, because I think that if we can impart like just one wisdom kind of thing, that is one of the things I would definitely want to impart. The people being able to understand when they're emotionally dysregulated, just being able to understand that what's going on is I'm emotionally dysregulated, even if you don't know what to do about it. Just understanding that is so life-changing. That's great.
Yeah. And so again, that episode, I went back and listened to that one too. And it was really, it was really good. I mean, we went into that episode pretty hot and heavy. I mean, we got a lot done in there.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we are really like going after it
Mhm.
in terms of talking about change, in talking about emotional regulation, and talking about autonomic nervous system regulation, talking about the window of tolerance, talking about how to do some regulation practices, right? There's
Love being in my
love being in
window.
my window. You've got your mug there. And one of the things that we really talked about was kind of a foundational idea that we teach here at the Somatic Coaching Academy is that emotions are thoughts plus sensations. So we talk about emotional dysregulation. We really broke down this idea of emotions are thoughts plus sensations.
This has really been on my mind recently as I've had conversations with people who are thinking about coming into the Somatic Coach professional program next year. And people tell us all the time they're trying to choose uh, whether or not they want to study with us or other people. And one of the things that really occurred to me more recently is the sensation based model that we use. There's lots of people who do all kinds of things with somatics. The sensation based model that we use is why the results are so profound. And so I'm excited that we talked about that in that episode that was so highly downloaded, because one of the things I don't think that we generally as humans have an awareness of is all of us work with emotions all the time, no matter who we are, the cash register, the grocery store clerk, or the leader, or the manager, or the coach, or the therapist. Like, to say that emotions belong to a certain profession is ludicrous. We all work with emotions all the time. And to recognize that emotions are actually two things give us the most tremendous amount of empowerment. So I'm really excited that a lot of people are listening to that episode and hearing that it's a real different way of thinking. It's true,
Mm-hmm.
and it can provide such amazing breakthrough moments
Yeah.
for people.
Yeah, it is really awesome because like you said, emotions are, we're all living and dealing and living and working and being in emotions, right? I mean, we're emotional beings. And so that's really important. And for folks who feel challenged around regulating their emotions, emotions can be really slippery.
Yeah.
Now, why are emotions so slippery? Well, because they're made up of something that's slippery and something that's tangible.
Yeah.
So thoughts are very slippery, right? Thoughts, and by slippery, I mean, you really can't wrap your hand around a thought.
They're
You really
intangible.
can't, they're intangible.
Yeah.
Whereas sensations are tangible, right? They are sensations, which means that we literally feel them. So when you feel something, that kind of makes it tangible,
Yeah.
right? So thoughts are, who even knows where thoughts are? I mean, are they in our heads? Are they out of our heads? I mean, I don't know where they are. Are they
Collective, like,
collective? I mean,
ugh.
thoughts, are they local? Are they non-local?
Yeah.
Are they even mine? I don't know.
Right.
But I know sensations are mine
Yeah.
because I feel them in my body.
Yeah.
And when I feel something in my body, like you don't necessarily feel the same thing in your body or anybody else, we can actually share a thought, which is kind of funny too, right? So as
Yeah.
emotions, like when we want to come into regulation or we're working with challenging emotions, and so many people are trying to work with thoughts in order to shift their emotional state, I feel like you're trying to like grab a fish or something like that. It's just like way too slippery.
Wind.
Yeah, grab the wind, even a better analogy.
Yeah.
But when we're working with sensations, it gives us something tangible to begin to modify and reframe in order to create a different emotional state.
Yeah. 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 I
And so
think
we went deep into that podcast about all of that.
that makes me so happy. Like, that's the birthday present for me to know that a bunch of people heard about that philosophy. That's really great.
Yeah. So that was, so was the number one downloaded podcast.
Fantastic.
So before we kind of shift into what our favorite episodes, our personal favorite episodes were, that were either top downloaded or not, I don't know where these are going to land, but we'll talk about them. If as a listener, if you have topics, if you have questions specifically that you would love to have us explore here on the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast, please let us know.
Yeah, and there's a way to do that. You could actually just click on the podcast section of our website and it says submit a question. It's really easy. We would love to talk about what matters most to you.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're like, Brian, I've always been curious about X, or Ani, I would love to hear your point on Y.
Yeah.
Then please let us know, because next year when we do this review, it might be your episode
That's true.
that is the one that has been the top downloaded one.
That's so true. Man, but it makes me really happy to know that not just that we have something to say that people want to download and listen to again, but that there's like wisdom out there that people want to integrate to help themselves to feel better and live better lives. I think that's real personal freedom. It makes me so happy.
Yes, 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 yes. So please let us know. Give us those prompts, give us those ideas. We'll go after it. I'll get into the library and I'll just figure some stuff out.
Yeah, you will.
All right. All right. So, hey, what were our favorite downloads? So what was one of your favorite episodes that we've done over the past year together, Ani?
So I'm sitting here telling myself that I can't still pick the 4-part series, Brian, because you already mentioned episode 1, and that maybe I should mention episode 2 or something like that. Actually am going to mention episode 2, but because that was the episode that I got the most engagement from our students, from my clients, and our community about. And I know that in general, our community is not a community that enjoys social media and doesn't enjoy giving the superficial thumbs up and shares and things like that. And when there's no engagement, I don't really know that things have landed. So thank you to those of you that engage by putting comments and likes and shares and stars and reviews and things, because for me, it helps us to know that that's important to you and to help us organize our thoughts around what is important to you so we can serve you better. Okay. So I'm mentioning the second episode in that 4-part series on decision making, because when that came out, I remember where I was actually. I was on the elliptical at the gym, and it was the afternoon. It had come out that day, and I had messages in Slack from our students, and I had emails, and I even got a few text messages and some messages on social media telling me that they had listened to the episode, and people had listened to the episode and they were downloading it, or they were thinking about it, or thank you so much for it. And so that's one of the ones I'm mentioning, because I know for a fact that people had that had an impact with people.
Fun. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So what's one of yours?
All right. So one of mine was I also did love that 4-part series, by the way, too. I think that was really fantastic. I did enjoy that quite a lot. One of my favorite ones was when art and science made their debut. That was one of my favorite ones, when art and science made their debut on the episode about setting healthy boundaries. I really liked that episode.
I was actually thinking about art and science recently and wondering if they were going to come back and join us again. So it's funny that you mentioned that.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Come back and join us again.
Yeah, that was fun.
I thought it was just so much fun to watch art and science kind of have that exploration together. And I thought it was fascinating, the metaphor of creating healthy relationship boundaries based on how a single cell stays healthy.
Well, you would think that that was the coolest part of that episode, wouldn't you, science?
Yeah, I thought that was just a cool way to kind of think about it, and the way that art was integrating that with examples in her own experience for healthy boundaries.
I think that episode is the one that I've referenced the most often for people to go and watch or listen to as I've talked to students or clients, actually, because the more that I dive into the idea around boundaries, which is such a big deal out there in the world, that people talk about boundaries, the more that I am super committed to having a different conversation about boundaries and why that matters, from that metaphoric, not so metaphoric, somatic idea around cells
Mhm.
and how we can really be in healthy relationships with other people and things around us. So I've asked people to go and listen to that as I've described setting healthy standards for themselves and maybe thinking differently about
Yeah.
boundaries.
Yeah.
Neat.
That
That's neat.
semi-permeability of the
Brain.
the membrane, and kind of how the epigenetics work and environment as being so important for all of us, but
Yeah.
especially a single cell, right? There's really the health of the cells based on the environment it places itself in. And
Yeah,
that's
it's
really
so
not that
good.
much different than,
Yeah.
right, than multicellular organisms. Anyway, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I could just watch that episode all day long because I'm watching art and
Art and
science.
science.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that was one of my favorite episodes. Being in emotion,
Yeah, yeah. That was a
like,
good one.
and I think that that was, I like that one because I teach that a lot. to step into that higher. So for me, the idea that, and the evidence that each of our individual work really matters,
Yeah.
that the more we
Yeah.
raise our own level of consciousness, the more it raises everyone's level, the opportunity for everyone else's level of consciousness as well.
Yeah, it can feel really tough to go through those moments where we're so dedicated to our personal work, and remembering that every time we choose to do it, it makes a difference for everybody else in a massive way is so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the year in review. This has been really fun. I look forward to
Happy
sitting
birthday.
here.
You want to sing?
No, I don't want to sing. Thank you for asking. Did you want to sing?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I look forward to sitting with you again a year from now and be able to talk about our year in review. It's been really fun, Brian, to be able to do this and create this. It's also been all kinds of things. So I feel really accomplished to sit here and know
Been a
we
great,
did it.
been a great year together, Anya, and doing a podcast. I've loved every minute.
I did it. Awesome. Well, we want to, in particular, give you a big shout out, because none of this, listeners, would be anything without you. And building this community is why we're here. So
happy birthday to you too.
Happy birthday to you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for being a part of this. As we see somatic work get out there bigger and bigger and better in the world, it just is so awesome to see the ripples of change that we can create. So
together.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you
Thanks
next
so much,
time.
everybody. See you next time on the podcast.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that this conversation will help you improve your practice and change the way you think about your work, your clients, and yourself.
Continue your exploration of trauma-sensitive somatic coaching by listening to more podcast episodes at somaticcoachingacademy.com. You could be the trusted guide that people turn to help them with their most challenging situations and to reach their most precious goals. Thank you for joining us.
We'll see you next time.